My Course 5 final project looks at using Google Docs to collaborate at home, so children working at home, linking their learning to school. My school is a primary school where we use the IPC, which is International Primary Curriculum. The children have a broad topic and then you teach subjects within it. So we've just finishing a topic of habitats that looks at, rather than the different animal habitats, it looks at how humans have different habitats or fit different habitats around the world. So we split the children up, gave them a habitat, the Arctic, the rainforest, the desert, and they then had to research to see how humans lived. The wonderful thing being, of course, you can use Google and Google Images and Google Docs, and the children would have to create a Google Doc, or rather we created a Google Doc for them, and then their group would do their research and add to it. Now, of course this was done at school, so I would teach them how to do it, and then at home they would have to find images based around their research, and there was a lot of talk about where to find not only safe images but images that have the right licenses so that they can use them, with the end goal being a presentation to their peers. Of course, the Arctic children would know about the desert or the rainforest and vice versa. So the presentations would be to parents to see what the children have been doing, but also for the children to learn from each other. So they're learning within their group at school and at home using their Google Doc, and then they're learning from each other through their presentations. And you will see at the end of this video, you will see a completed presentation from one of the groups. I hope you enjoy it. I'll go through every step of what happened. It's just going to be a quick tour of the initial setup and how it was so easy to manage the children with the Google Docs. One of the greatest difficulties I've had with Google Docs in the past is getting all the sharing and all the grouping set up. Fortunately for me, the school I'm working at is just bought into a software company called Hapara that will organize Google Docs for you. And if you don't have it and you are a Google school, I would recommend it. Without Hapara, the project really would have been too difficult to manage. It would have been possible, but it would have been probably too much of a headache. So let's get stuck in. You can see that when you log in, you get to see classes. I happen to teach Year 4, so I've got 2 Year 4 classes. For the Google project that I've just done, we put all of the Year 4 children together. So I'm just going to jump into my class. When you do jump into it, you can see all of the Google documents that the children have. And when children join our school, they get given a Google account, as I've said previously, but in their Google Drive, automatically set up is folders that you can designate. So we've chosen English, Science, IPC and Homework. Now the topic we've done is an IPC topic with also elements of homework. So all of the documentation that are under the presentations and the homework was set through those 2 folders. As you can see, when I click on IPC, let's look at Dream here. He has his notes, and I was able to create a Google Doc and share his notes with just his group, which is really, really wonderful. So I knew that just clicking on a few names and sharing the doc, him and his group would have everything they needed. So they were able to create great notes, and it's the same for every group. Of course, the notes are different because the groups are different, but the setup was the same. I was able to set up one Google Doc of notes for each week's research and make sure it was shared with just that group of children. The wonderful thing is, of course, you can choose and colour the children. You can see here that Andy happens to have a pink square next to him and Mary has a yellow square. So you can very, very easily group children and just send out some Google Docs, which is wonderful. So And one of the weeks was food, so the group would have to research about food, and all the children would find their links and their notes. Okay, so they would have to copy, they could copy and paste because it wasn't necessarily a writing exercise. So they were allowed to find good research, and we talked about where and how to find good research. I'll put a little bit of an extra video clip from one of my lessons in later on. Too big. Dream. I might try another term like deserts and transport. Let's see if that works. Cool. Okay, down to... Oh. Why have I got more? Who knows why? It's really interesting, because now I've got even more and I'm supposed to have less. Yeah. What is... Close. What is Google looking for now? What do you think I'm going to find? Yeah. Say. Everything to do with deserts. Any page in the entire universe that has the word desert in it. All of these notes then were used by the children in their homework. So let's stick with Andy. He had to find notes, photographs, pictures based on his food research notes. So I shared a Google drawing with them all, so they could just copy and paste. Pictures into their Google drawing. Of course, I set a little homework, a tutorial, a website, a YouTube video where they would learn how to search for free videos through the search preferences in Google. And the end goal being, of course, that once they have their notes and they have their pictures, and this is built up week by week, so 1 week would be food, 1 week would be education, 1 week would be transport, and they've got these pictures that they found. They would then build into the end product, which for every group was a presentation. And you can see here, and this was a real key point for the presentation, was that although they had notes, their slides were not to be text heavy. I insisted that they had diagrams and labels, as you can see on this slide here they do, but that they would have just pictures and that their picture becomes the note. So they were able to stand up and present. I knew, of course, that they would have an iPad and they could use in front of the board. They wouldn't need to look at the board. They could swipe through any transitions that they might have on their iPad. It was really successful. They all enjoyed using the comments in the presentations when they're at home, so they can talk to each other to keep working on it. I found that they did extra work. Once they got their pictures for their homework, they were then chatting and adding to the notes, even though that wasn't homework. The night before the presentations were presented in school to all our parents, I noticed that lots of frantic activity was happening on many of the presentations to improve them even more, even though the children hadn't been asked to do so. It was really successful, and you'll see a couple of comments from what the children thought about the whole project towards the end of the video. Hong and Vicky, what do you think about using Google Docs for your presentations? Easy or hard?
They're easy. They're easy because we learn how to use them.
Okay, and has it been good being able to do your work at home and in school?
Yes.
Why?
Because you won't need a USB to bring to school and come back.
So Andy, you've talked to your mum about this. What did she say about the work that you've been doing at home?
She said it's really good.
Why? Give me details.
Because you can connect and chat and type stuff at the same time, so you can get ideas.
Today, Andrew, Jennifer, Jessica, Claus, Susan, and myself will teach you about rainforests. We will teach you about transport, houses, clothes, food in the rainforest.
Where in the world are the rainforests? Well, rainforests exist in lots of countries. For example, Indonesia, Laos, Peru, Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, the Congo, Cameroon, Bolivia, and India. But there are really less rainforests in the world right now. If deforestation doesn't stop, there will be no rainforest in the world and there will be no oxygen. So we'll all die.
Food. In the rainforest, people use blowpipes to kill animals on tall trees, like monkeys, chimpanzees, and they also eat cocos and insects.
Food. People also eat beans, nuts, and some fruits available in the rainforest. They also can grow some bananas and some peach and other fruits to eat.
The most common form to travel in the rainforest is a boat and a canoe. People also walk in the rainforest when they don't need to travel through the river. People don't use cars in the rainforest because there are no roads in the rainforest.
Clothes. In the rainforest, people wear grass skirts made out of palm trees leaves. They also wear headbands made out of bird feathers. But people do not really wear a lot of clothes on the top because it's really hot in the rainforest.
On this slide, I'll talk about houses. Tree houses. These towering houses are built up high to get fruits up high in the trees. Stilt houses. Stilt houses are built to avoid dangerous floods. And these two houses have three things common about themselves. Number one, they both can avoid dangerous predators. Number two, they're built up high. And number three, because they're built up high, they can avoid mosquitoes. Thank you for listening.